Kublay pi baro ki ba pe kini ka video yang subhai pi shani ka channel Tech Tutor Meghalaya bala penni na ka SCSTE. Kekerteng jang kalong iba pediang hun kongwil, but hakani ka porpad ngan batai pi shapang continuous charge distribution. Ti haki videos ki bala adam ngila da puli shapang ka kulums law. But hak kulums law ngila puli ka way ka jinglong jong kulum law, ka kulums law, but kata ka long ba. Ngila ban penan kami ke Coulomb's law only with discrete charges. Discrete charges come with EU. Come with basically with point charges kin. It's kan pinang kama what are point charges? The point charges kiti charges balong tang kumni gen tang Q1, Q2, Q3 kumni lag ajong kidan. Alright? The kum kini ki charges balong kumni. We can use the Coulomb's law and we can find, alright, the force on Q1 due to Q2, alright, the force on Q3 due to Q2, the force on Q1 due to Q3. We can find the relation kumta ada kabapanan kami Coulomb's law. Henry, why did we have something like this? Shubot dadan kumne, kum last time kemong I used to example jong skill. Teu skill rong kumno, dan tingwi thai charge hang tu. Kalaban dan deki millions, deki hajar tali, right? The kumunjo hang nero I have kaniya deka, let's say it's a surface, alright? Deka nega surface flabani I baki charges kidan shi pontali. Okay, kidan shi pontali. And nang ta de sakaway de. Ladang apen kumang apet hatu example bang come to skill day. Flabani try hanu tau charge dan. Kum hang ni bang adro hang ni ngila abani badan charges hang tu kumto I. Henry in actual real life. Ngila bin take charge. Hatu ngila banwat tu charge don hang tu charge don hang tu. Jinjar de. Nga are nama bakila red palat kita lagi hajar tali. Okay? So same thing just like here. Kita shi bon tali ka jinjaring I baini. Alright? The common distribution of charge, common jing charges, continuous charges. Number ba kinton te iway, okay, kidan lang hajo kulum. Yang, the kini kita continuous charges, but yagi continuous charges, once yen nimla ban penan kam direct daka Coulomb's law, nimla ban use Q1, Q2 hang ni. Fine? Nimla ban use kumta. Ti hakan ka you there when it comes to continuous charges, we have what we call charge density. Ngidan kata ka bang ni ka charge density. Ika taka charge density. For example, how niga benta nan circle I benta ni. Alright? The height to ibenta flabin I dan southly ki charges. They dan na circle pat ini ibenta ni. Flabin I ba height I circle pat dan lightly charges. They finang kumno, hai kalong condenser in the first circle in the second circle na. In the first circle ka kam long bon ki charge na takadaw ka density ka kam bon, whereas in the second circle ka density ka kam duna kanyat. Te filaban mudor ikanero shubo mo. Te filaban mudor kum ha ka playground kembal ekai football kina. Te on habaro ijaka embaki football kidan ki jaka shabadan ka ball shata ki khambon ki players. Shabadu bamdan ka ball shata ki dunaki players. Te plaban I baka density hamto shababon players kalong khamdens khamlong bon brio. Re shabam dan ka ball ki khamduna. Te filaban modor kumda gamjo hiken. Ka density kamat kumno shata ba khambon. Alright? Ka density ka he shabaduna ka density ka duna, yeah? Te hang ne labani I kumalong. The density in the first circle is higher than the charge density in the second circle. Te hang ne kumba pi ba kini ki charges ngila distribute haka surface. So therefore yung kini ki surface continuous charge distribution, yeah? Te hang ne nga shimi ini I circle hang ne, alright? And let me magnify it. Yan pinhe ini circle kan long ba he ko to. Yeah. Te hang ne ini circle wala hang ne imbadam tang south li day. Henry jing shisha kila ban on kli hang ne ro. Kila banan shi ketli charges. Yeah. Lokum to. Te ini ibang asyam man penhet de ini in area hane ini surface area ang kod ita I del S. Alright, I area del S. Fine. Ke total surface area surface ke surface area S. Alright. Hane ini ibarat bang asyam ang kod I del S. Fine. Te ke surface charge density hang ni nomor baki charges ni distribute ke surface tengok kod ke surface charge density. The definition of surface charge density today, it is equal to charge per unit area. Alright? So, hindi hakani ka po, ngampit na tayo ka total surface, ngapit tayo iti idal SM. Te hai idal SM, idan ki charge del Q. Hai area barit, dan I charge barit. Kani Q hang ni, kani ka total charge ni, kani ka total charge Q. Fine? S ro di ka total surface area S. Alright? Tam mangampit ro te kan di ka surface area ka bahel ni ka total charge Q. Ngapit ini total ini surface ibarat idel Q or idel S. Alright? So therefore on thought idel S. But yung charge ro since mangapit idel S and in del S there is only del Q charges. Tinakadaw hajaka jon del Q on thought hajaka jon Q on thought not del Q. Teka ni de kata ka definition jong surface charge density ke de kanutli ki charge ki dan ha is surface area del S. Ye dan shikit mutta ke charge density ke hai. Hele dan tang yet ki charges hai ni area del S ke charge density ka lit. Yeah. Te your surface charge density ni use symbol da new symbol ubangi khat u sigma. Alright? New symbol in khat u sigma. Alright? The sigma is equal to del Q by del S. So for example, ladang yung surface charge density sigma is equal to 20 coulomb per meter square kamut kumno. It means that there are 20 coulomb charges in 1 meter square area. Alright? In 1 meter square area. Kamut hashi meter square area dan hado 20 coulomb charges. 20 coulomb kadang day tang charge. Keep in mind, they are totally the number of charges we have to calculate using, if you still remember, at the quantization of charge. Q equal NE, 2 N's IV, dan currently ki charges are 20 coulomb. Fine? Te hang ni kasubatay ka total charge kan badan hiti surface area barit. Lang kum hani area barit hai ni barit. Subang on dan 20 coulomb charges. Kamut kabatay ka total charges badan hini area barit. Fine? Te keep in mind, hang ni mentah continuous charges ningkong dan kena surface area ka bahaya ha. Day, tamadanga pun dakapangapunan kami ni area del S ila kelarit ha. Alright, keep in mind. Ini idel SM. Day area which is very ini area del SM, ide area it belongs very small, right? Very small, and it contain ini del Q ru as compared to total charge hangne. Haning ila aban ong gadon hado ar pau hajar ki charges. Tama ini iba rit dan tang ar pau charge, okay? Tingil aban ong kumtaken. Te hapa kumtai dapat ini del Q ide ibarid ha. Tenang kadang ila aban compare ini del Q ban longkong kini discrete charge. Okay, discrete charge tu kini berat an. Ini del Q ru as compared to kini ke area ke bahaya ini del Q pada ini area del S di berat ha. Dimentang nala aban compare dak bapen kami kini ke formula. Alright, nilala aban use ya ka Coulomb's law mentah. Ningko mana ai fingim la aban use ma bakim dere ki single charge kum kini, right? Ki discrete charges kum kini. Henry mentah dak bapen kami ni area del S mission area berat ha. Idan i-charge del Q ibarid ha, mentah nilala penpulun kami ka Coulomb's law. Fine? Alright. Then what if pada ladaka ni ka charge distribution kamdera in a surface area? What if ka charge la distribute la sa priyang highway iwayar kan langkum no? Tingin niya pit mentah dan lai jing shisha ha ka jing, alright, type of distribution of charge. Idan ka surface, idan ka linear, Bangidan ka volume charge continuous charge distribution. Alright, idan kita lai jat tingin nyepet mentai kita kilai teli. Te hani nyepet kini kilai teli kijat type of charge distribution. Yeah, the first one ngidan uni surface charge distribution upang depth discuss. The surface charge distribution ki example kedai hak about charge distribute hak plane sheet labin I hang ni. Ladang charge barang distribute hak plane sheet kumni, that means kato ka distribution ring kat ka surface charge distribution. The lada you charge la distribute ha spherical shell shell kumut de u sphere u bathali shapo. Yang the ladai kini ki charge is distribute halor jong new spherical shell okay on the surface. Then you can make a surface charge distribution. They combine the pit mania by surface charge density sigma the formula they del Q by del S, where del S is a small area. Take up the linear charge distribution. For example, the shim wire, alright, but halogen wire you distribute your charge. You can charge it on halogen wire. Learning is shim ya ring, alright, ya ring you distribute your charge halogen ring. Take a nero kidiki examples junk linear charge distribution, but a linear charge density is symbolized the only symbol bang cut lambda LAMBDA, alright. So lambda is equal to del Q by del L. Keep in mind hang ni condition on the surface and kadai on a length, alright. You new ring ru kadai halogen ring and lada pikot you ring marshten gumto fin lab ring ru spread ulong kung wire you were drawn on a length again ni shim ya uni wire, alright. You new ring I mean then naktakadaw del L represents a small length. Take a balai pa the volume charge distribution. The volume charge distribution you don't get solid sphere, solid nên xem khi xong thuộc có một solid, có một belong solid bit but up bit, alright. The shadow shapadang ro kidan ki charges. Hindi tang na lo shadow shapo, alright. Kidan ki charges. Next thing kidan new solid cylinder, the new solid cylinder ro, alright. Ude uba solid uba dap bit shadow shapadang. The shadow shapadang ro kidan ki charges. The kum kini ki jet charge pada bengi distributed charge do shapo shapadang ro ikot kita ki volume charge distribution. Take a volume charge density padang is symbolized down your symbol bang ikot rho RHO rho, alright. Rho is equal to del Q kanot lagi charge kidan hapo I volume ibarat I del V. Yang where del V is a small volume. Okay. So kini kita kilai tadi kijan charge distribution ngidan ka surface, ngidan ka linear, ngidan ka volume. Timantay ni page for surface charge distribution hakano ko rukam nila aban penankam, alright. Ikini surface charge distribution haka Coulomb's law. Te kumbang nila penamas down for surface charge distribution ngidan kani ka surface area. Te hani kidan shipon lagi charges fi kidan shipon lagi charges. Te nang tade ngale kumno hajak abangan shim baro nga shim no tang area ibarat, right? Shim ni area ibarat ibadai del S. Then tadi na ship ni point P, alright, this is point P, hakabang abo ini charge Q0. But the distance jong ini point P na del S kadai R. Fine? Te hang ni on balada surface charge density day sigma. Alright? But the area element day del S. Kamut ayo area element. Ladang ang area element kamut I area ibarit. Ladang ang length element kemud in length ibarat but ladang ang volume element kemud in volume ibarat. Dan kata kada ini element he idan ejimud boong ba ide itai barat te ibarat yang tedang ang area element hang ni, alright. So it basically means the small area del S. The charge that is in this surface element kumangila shimmeneng ishim de kano del Q ru de I charge iba red iba dan ha ini surface area del S, right? Then therefore the formula bingla tip kadai surface charge density is equal to del Q by del S, right? Lani dadang cross multiply ni del S sha take a side, what will I have? I'll have del Q is equal to nama sigma adan but u del S menta, so sigma into del S. Okay? Tiana. Ni ong let Q0. Uni Q0 udah you test charge. Alright? Data test charge ubangi bo how point P. Alright? There. Now the position vector of del Q is Ri. Then it's can mark position vectors ki bafla learn haka class 11. Then yung position jong del Q jong ini del Q hang ni ide Ri. but position jong Q naught pada they are not. The distance between del Q, between this del Q and this Q naught, alright, is R, right? The unit vector from del Q to Q naught is given by R cap. Ngayon, kita mau unit vector di way, alright? The vector ubah ke magnitude they 1, alright? But I ke direction jong U vector, right? So now using Coulomb's law. From Coulomb's law, kemang tip, dia minta apa? Nga dalam thoro S, nga thor DF, namar balay, nga deal bat ki ibarat, nga deal bat di area ibarat, nga deal bat i charge ibarat, nakala daw i force ro ibangan yo na ni indi i force ibarat. Nakala daw nga thor daw DF. DF represents a small charge, biang? So DF is the force is equal to 1 by 4 pi epsilon naught Q naught. Alright, tiki charge hang ni kin mau. Charge hang ni deu A u deu ni Q naught, but u del Q bang yo na del S. Alright, so Q naught ilaban ong di Q1 u del Q u deu Q2. So Q1 Q2 jeng ni day Q naught into del Q divided by R square, and this is our unit vector, right? So in other words, we can also write dF is equal to 1 by 4 pi epsilon naught Q naught hajaka jong del Q. Del Q meneng layo day sigma into del S. Nanti kadang atau sigma into del S divided by R square R cap. Okay. So by superposition principle, the total charge due to the entire surface charge distribution is F is equal to, next time kita mau superposition principle ko angkum no, ni add lo di key forces paro. Alright, key forces due to ni charge sang ni, let's say ngalab macam sa iwi area hane del S2 ngalaban ong del S2, and del S2 will have a different charge del Q2. Maybe hani macam sa iwi charge, maybe hani macam sa iwi charge, maybe hani macam sa iwi charge. So danga ken paro kita del Q bangayo na ni. Yang te kini ki del Q baro called what is the total force on this Q naught, alright? Ngalap baga day F is equal to Q naught divided by 4 pi epsilon naught summation over del S. Nga alur dia baru kau kini ki area del S, alright? Kini ki area del S baru kau nga alur sigma over del S baru kau ki del S. Then tadi sigma into del S divided by R square, right? So kani ka formula filaban pet biang nilayo na ka superposition principle kuno ban add, alright? Then now lada pada ini del S it tend to 0. This is what we say, alright? Del S tend to 0. Kemot ba ini area ilet hado kata-kata kabangala ban ken ke area ro kala ajan kong 0 long kong ba area is equal to, okay, del S is equal to almost equal to 0. Alright, kemot ilet hado kata-kata. Kani ka formula ni change no siya. Ne, hajaka ban use the summation, use na dau integration. Yeah. So therefore, the formula lada idel S. Keep in mind, irit hado data. Then we use the integration sign. So F is equal to Q naught 4 pi epsilon naught. Kani dang lang kum jo hi kumane. But change tek data mine a symbol from summation to integration. Then use sigma into del into ds. Instead of writing del S also, we turn on the ds. ds convert very extremely small once again. Okay, lada del S tends to 0 ni turn on da u ds divided by r square r cap. Tekan ni dia taka formula, alright. Kapag nila apan penankam jang unika Coulomb's law, alright. Kapag nila apan penankam kapor bangiyo ikin ki surface charge distribution. Therefore surface charge distribution nila alap bakade kumto, right? Lane kumne. Therefore, linear charge distribution pat kanong kumno. Kanong kumju hi F is equal to Q naught by 4 pi epsilon naught. Ka summation minta kamdesyo over area. Alright, kamdesyo over surface area. Namabade linear. Linear comes from the word line. Alright, nakataka daw del L kabade ka length. Ni sum laneng ni add iki length paro. Te hang ni be sigma del Q jungi minta is equal to lambda into del L. Keep in mind more. So therefore, it will be lambda del L divided by r square r cap. Lani once again, lada I del L tends to 0. Use kumno, use lada u integration sign hajaka jang u summation sign. There once again Q naught by 4 pi epsilon naught lambda into del L divided by r square into r cap. Fine? Therefore, volume charge distribution rule laban gas. Kalau kumju hi ka change di tang A di tang ni del Q. Where del Q mentai la di kumno rho into del V. Fine? So rho into del V hang ni ina buo. The same thing lada ini del V it tends to 0 ngin thok kumno. Hajaka jang summation ibu no da u integration sign. The kini borok lightly, alright? Kini borok lightly kita ki formulas ki bangi jupenan kam ban calculate, alright? Ban calculate ya ka Coulomb's force, alright? Haka jinga day but ki continuous charge distribution, right? Tingin kam kato flas ngoto shapang ki surface charge distribution. Tingin second do pa ipi ako ka video habangin batay pat sa shapang ka electric field. Bless you.